And as always, before we start, we'd like to give our patron shout out of the week. And this Patreon shout out goes to Elsa Bella, who has been with us almost a year now on Patreon. And I don't think we've given her a shout out. So we want to say thank you very much. And she's top tier as well. So we'd like to give a massive thank you, Elsa. Thank you for supporting us over the last year on Patreon and everyone as well. But for Elsa, thank you. I hope you've obviously enjoyed the content because you've been with us a year. We very much appreciate it. And we hope that you stick around. So thank you very much.
I'm gonna watch this episode and be like, "Oh, I'm still paying for that."
Right?
She's like, "Oh God, let me actually cancel that
Get
direct
them
debit
off the TV.
Welcome to the Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Get you.
Here's Johnny. It's all we understand him, you maniac!
Hello and welcome back to the Horror Hour, the place where we discuss, debate, and disagree on all things horror. I'm one of your hosts, George, and today I'm joined by my fellow co-host. We have Yutaka.
Hello, still waking up. Hi,
Wake
how
up
are
in
you?
the morning feeling like Yutaka. We're good.
It's 3:30 in the
3:30
afternoon.
in the afternoon.
It's so sad.
The weekend, you're allowed. And of course, we've also got my fellow Brit. We have Liam.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I don't know what happened.
No, we don't either. We usually don't know what's going on.
I just got confused and things came out of your mouth.
Normally they're coming in them. But
I was going to say.
So
difference.
Tonight is tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be but tonight I think is quite it's fitting for the time because while we're filming this, yesterday was August 18th, which is a very popular day for a movie that is known as, I would say, a road trip horror movie. And so it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Day. And so today we thought we'd talk about some of our favorite road trip horror movies and see, because when we got this topic, I was like, oh, trying to think of ones. But then when I started thinking about it, there's actually quite a few. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody's got. So why don't we start with you, Liam? Tell us your first pick for road trip horror.
Thank you. For my first pick, I'm going to go with 2001's, not to be confused with 2023's, Joyride. I had completely forgot about this movie, but I hadn't completely forgotten about it. I remembered it existed, but I completely forgot what happened in that movie. So I decided to rewatch it today so that I could be freshly prepared. I enjoyed it more than I thought I remembered enjoying it.
I don't know if I believe you.
No, I actually did.
Because your voice went a couple octaves.
Yeah. No, I actually did. I don't know how to say her name, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But the lady in that, there we go. I thoroughly enjoyed her in Deep Impact, so it's always a delight to see her again. And I forgot about the scene where the brothers go into the diner.
It's the only scene
naked.
I remember.
That was a very fun scene.
Surprisingly, Steve Zahn had a cute little tush. Like
he did, yes.
We already knew Paul Walker was going to have a nice ass, but look at Steve Zahn being like, "Hey, I got some, cakes.
They both showed off their cakes, and their cakes were worth it.
The movie wasn't.
It's also it was like a little bit not scary, but like I think it made it a bit more creepier than your usual person on the road hunting you down type movie, because usually you see a person who's hunting you down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this one you literally don't see them. Ever.
Yep, good old Rusty
You
Nail.
see them for you see Rusty Nail for like a split second when he's diving through the window, right near the end, but you just don't see him. It's just always the truck, and the radio. So I think that adds to the suspensefulness of it.
Yeah, it's been a while since I saw that film. I saw it like not that many years ago for the first time. And I thought it was like, it was a stick it on and have it on the background type of movie. But I didn't hate it or anything. I thought it was a good, and yeah, say I was pleasantly surprised by the male nudity that we received. So that's always a welcome in my books. Okay, and that's
I will
It
always be
was-
there for a nice shot.
It's dated for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I will say
I wouldn't say it's compared to some of the ones that came out around that time frame. I think it's aged quite well. There's a
Not
lot
quite
worse
well.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they're gonna kill me because I was on their podcast too. Oh god, we all have horror in our name. It's so we get. Oh my god, I feel they're quite nice. We talked about Joyride and oh, I feel so. George, I'll give you the name. I'll look it up. I apologize. But I don't think it holds up. And rewatching it, I was like, I remember when I saw it at the time, I loved it. I thought it was a blast. I think it was different because I saw it in the theater. Rewatching it, it just wasn't for me. I was just like, damn. Like they had great moments. Of course, yes, the butt scene, love that, and a bit of humor. But I do think that it was more suspenseful though to me in the beginning than towards the end, and that's why I was just like, it doesn't hold up as much for me.
That's fair. I get that. Again, I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm not like fully up on it. But it was. I think it's on.
I didn't.
I think Disney Plus
think
here.
It's on
I was
Disney
going to say I
Plus.
thought I
here,
saw
yeah.
it on Disney Plus, or it might be on Hulu.
It always just tickles me so much when things are on Disney
I
Plus.
know. People are like, well, who are they smoking? Like, not who. What are they smoking?
Yes. Both. Yes, it is on Disney Plus, which made it easy to watch because one of the things that I wanted to pick is not available in the UK at all. Not available to stream or to rent.
Not even to pirate.
I couldn't even pirate.
Shouldn't,
No, literally couldn't
Mm.
even pirate it because I was like, well, I'm just going to have to pirate it because I want to talk about it, and I physically can't remember like the actual story.
I can't wait to hear what this movie is. Interesting.
I'm
But we'll
assuming
get to it.
you'll have it. I'm assuming
Oh.
you'll have it.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. Well, speaking of if you'll have it, Yutaka, can you give us your first pick, please?
So this one's not so much road rage or road trip as it's kind of a bit of road rage.
Okay.
Ooh.
This was a crazy film. And I saw it probably about a decade ago. And I love the 80s. But okay, it's a 1986 film written and directed by Stephen King. So already I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it stars Emilio Estevez, before he became all weird. Alleged anti-vaxxer, but whatever. And it's called Maximum Overdrive. Have you guys heard of it?
I've
I've
seen the
heard
poster
of
for that.
it.
Yeah.
So
but I've never actually watched it.
It's actually kind of fun, and it's definitely horror, but it's got action moments because it's a group of people trying to survive when machines start to come alive and become homicidal. Look out, AI, it's coming for it. Look out. I mean, but it is crazy. So they're at this truck stop or gas station, and I just still remember all these. I remember the box art too, because one of the semis has this creepy looking Joker mask on the front. And literally it is just all these, there's the scene where it's just all these semis circling them.
Oh, yes. That's the poster for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, it's so crazy. Some of the kills are unhinged. And I think at one point, I don't know, I'd have to rewatch it. Maybe it might just be the trailer, but I swore one of the things had a missile. I don't know. It might have just been the explosions, but it's total 80s, and you're just like, what the hell is this?
With the original Transformers, I was saying.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it really. Oh my god, I love it. That's a great tagline for it because it really is. It's so bizarre. And I really do enjoy it. Is there a great story? No. Is it fun? Yes. as George, it's like when you just stick it in. Wait,
Yeah.
no, put it in. You know what I mean? It's something you would just put on the TV. You'd watch it. You wouldn't even have to pay attention if you want to like fiddle around. But it's still like just this. I don't know. There's something
Stick it
about
in,
it.
fiddle around.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm
See how
terrible.
it
I'm
goes.
not even meaning this. It's just it's an enjoyable movie. If you want to see something from the 80s that you probably might not have seen, this would be a good one to watch. And again, written and directed by Stephen King, so it's got a little nice touch to it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, so my first one is it's road. It's also walking, and I think there's canoeing, and I think there's some flying as well. And it's
Is it Rat Race?
No, it's not. It's the 2009 movie A Perfect Getaway. I loved this film so much. It's like the cast, amazing. You've got Mila Jovovich, Timothy Oliphant, Marley Sheldon, Chris Hemsworth. What's his name? Steve Zahn. Steve Zahn.
He's
Great
in it.
cast.
Look
Yeah.
at
We're
him.
both going with Steve Zahn today. Isn't that good for us?
He's great in that. Anyway, but I really like this film. I remember I must have had some sort of movie on DVD or something, and back in the day when you used to get the trailers before, it was so good. And it was this, and I think Vantage Point. If anyone remembers that film with Denzel Washington and Ellen Ripley. And oh my god, who else is in that film?
Vantage Point?
Have you noticed?
What? Are you sure?
Was it Denzel Washington?
I thought that was like a Dennis Quaid film.
Oh,
like,
maybe that was the Dennis.
thriller.
Maybe I'm thinking Dennis Quaid. I think I was.
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker. Denzel. No, Forrest Whitaker. What's his name? Did you say Dennis Quaid? Jesus,
Dennis
I was getting Dennis Quaid.
See, I think I knew what I was talking about.
And Zoe Saldana.
Yes,
in Scrawny Weaver.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So these were the two movies that were like on the trailers. But I remember Perfect Getaway like always used to get me, and then I finally got it on. Like I rented it from the DVD store. I loved it. It's definitely more of a thriller than a horror movie, but the cast is fantastic. It's got a good mystery surrounding it, and the scenery is stunning as well because it's on like somewhere like Thailand or somewhere in a gorgeous part of the world. But it's just like a great, easy watch movie, and just I mean, that was in my Mila Jovovich era, so I was
I love a bit of Mila Jovovich.
I was in a full Mila Jovovich era, so that. Because that came out the same year as The Fourth Kind as well. So I was like living my best life. So Perfect Getaway. If you haven't seen it, I'd really recommend it. I don't know if I think it's on. I rented it I think last month it was on YouTube, but it was probably streaming somewhere. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Great cast, great setting, and a good little twist. See if you can work out what exactly is going on. But yeah, I think it's a hell of a fun
Dave
film.
Zane.
Steve Zane, what more could you want?
I don't actually know. I just assume.
Chris Hemsworth in, Not Many Clothes, and Timothy Oliphant as well. So beautiful cast, beautiful gowns.
It is available on Freevee in the UK.
Whatever that is.
That's available everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like on Amazon Prime where it says, "Do you want to watch this with adverts?"
Yes, that's
the
like
fuck off because you put too many adverts on there.
Y'all are spoiled. Commercials are commercials. I'm used to it, but whatever.
Just get used to
it. That's because you live in America, and our version of commercials is very different to your version of commercials. I live streamed Drag Race US once because I wanted to watch it with everyone else while it was happening.
Yeah, and
couldn't believe it. Like, why do you have an advert every 5 minutes?
That's how do you think these companies get paid? That's what makes these shows are the advertising.
Well, we have like an hour. We have like an hour-long show, and like it'll be like 15 minutes, a 5-minute advert slot, 15 minutes, a 5-minute ad break slot. Like, it's not like.
Just
Every 5 minutes.
different strokes for different folks, Liam.
Technically,
I don't know. I
Liam,
just
like
don't know how you do it.
90, or I'm sorry, a 60-minute show here is typically around 42 to 45 minutes. So it just depends. Depends on their like how much advertising is wants to buy up space.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's what builds these shows. Now, do these people get that? No. I mean, like, do the
Yeah.
like do any of them? No, that all goes to the company. So that's another issue. in my
yeah.
opinion. But yeah, that's how a lot of
It's
them
very
make their
annoying.
money. Like, don't watch the Super Bowl, which you wouldn't, but oof.
I did watch it once.
Did you see all the commercials like that they air through that?
I was just like, why is there so many breaks?
You want to know why though? Because that is the most watched thing in the world at that time. So like companies will pay, sorry guys,
Millions.
tangent.
Yeah.
They will, like a 30-second spot could cost $5 million.
Oh, I know it costs like ridiculous amounts. And
I mean,
but
you do get some fun commercials sometimes. I remember the dude who won the Doritos contest.
Pussy ass players that need a break every 10 minutes.
They probably just enjoy it.
Stuff still actually happens on the, like, there's stuff that's still happening. It's funny if you've ever been at a sports event knowing when like commercials are on, because they'll like have things that'll change. And so it's crazy.
Interesting.
But anyways.
So Liam, what's your second pick for us, please?
My second pick, I'm going to go to the Yorkshire Dales.
It's a good accent, but why are you doing a London accent for the Yorkshire Dales?
Let him go with it.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like when
I don't know.
My pick.
It's a really good.
It's kind of nasally.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
It reminds me of Robin Leach. That's why I enjoy it.
I'm going to go with 2012.
The rich and famous. Sorry.
I'm going to go with 2012's UK Road comedy horror Sightseers.
Never seen that.
Never seen
or heard of it.
Tell
So
me more.
This is by so the director is the person that's literally just directed the Meg 2. But this was like this was his second film.
Okay.
And then this one, do you know the film High Rise?
Yeah.
That like weird British one. So that was his third film, and he got that by doing this.
Okay.
And it stars Alice Lawton, Steve Oram, who's this like weird couple who are off on a little caravan tour of the north of England, basically, because they go to like some stuff in the Lake District and some in Yorkshire and whatnot. And it's them touring, but then he starts to kill people as they're touring.
Oh, but she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
First.
that's kind of humorous.
Okay.
It's kind of want to see this.
It's very odd. It's a very odd film.
You're not selling
It's
it.
really hard to describe, but it's just so weird. It's so funny. It's very irreverent as a film.
Okay.
It's like,
what's it? Where can you watch it?
Yeah.
In the UK, it is on Studio Canal.
Oh yeah. So you get it on Prime.
You can rent it you can rent it anywhere. You can rent it anywhere, but it's on Studio Canal or ITV stuff in the UK.
I think I would probably enjoy this. Just I'm looking at the poster, and that is actually quite humorous. Okay.
Yeah.
It's only an hour and a half as well. Love that.
And just the trailer alone that I'm seeing without sound, oh my god, that's okay. I could. Oh, okay, yeah, Liam. I think. This was This is part of the Cannes Film Festival. Wow.
Yeah, it was like a proper awards. film.
Edgar Wright's an exec producer on it as well. That makes sense.
No, okay, yeah. I definitely want to see this.
It's just very odd. It's very odd. It's very funny. It's the horror parts are done well. The comedy parts are done well. Acting's great across the board. It's just so weird though that you just can't really explain what makes it good without
will-
spoiling things.
Okay, yeah,
But
no,
it's
I think I'm
like-
gonna have to see this.
Like, there's one scene, and even though it involves animals,
Yeah,
I
have a
was
feeling an
like,
animal might die in it.
oh. But I was like, it was done so. It was built up so the way it was built up in the film is really funny.
Okay.
So like, you're like, oh, but then also laughing at the same time. It's But yeah, across the board, great film, bright film,
Okay.
great for everyone involved.
Thank you
So
very
I would
much.
definitely recommend it, even though I couldn't explain it that well.
It's true. Well, at least you're honest.
But because you didn't explain it well, Yutaka did his own research and then has decided he needs to
Guys,
watch
this
it.
does-
So
It does look actually quite
Who's
funny.
winning?
So, all
Point.
right.
All right. Thank you very much, Liam. Okay, Yutaka, what's
a lot
your
of-
second pick?
4 and 5 star
You
reviews.
know, I figure since right now being, an American, I'm in the minority, I am going to pick a British film as well. Because you know what?
Hey!
This film, okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've seen this film multiple times and it turns the party. It is so funny. It is a good horror comedy. And I mean, it is very, very gory. And so you already know if it's got that, I'm a little bit sold. And you add a little bit of
Both me and George are like, what is this?
I think I know what he's going to say, but go on.
it's 2006
Oh, no, then.
Severance.
Ah, no, I thought you were going to say something
And
else.
it's about a team building a retreat in the mountains. A group of sales representatives are hunted down one by one.
Yeah.
Clearly,
and
you
it is-
didn't watch our best of British video.
Oh, was this on it? I'm so sorry.
That's all right. We mention stuff all the time. Yeah.
Was it?
I mentioned it.
He couldn't. Well, he got it confused
was-
with another film, so he was like, "It's between Severance."
I was like, there's
and
two
Dog's
films.
House."
I was like, there's two films that are really good, but they're like basically the same film. So I'm just going to say both of them.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
that's
might
fine.
not have watched that video all the way through. I
That's
might have
fine.
watched it on double
That doesn't
speed.
surprise
Tell
me.
us, Yutaka, then, for those of you who might not
But
watch
yeah,
that video
all
either.
right, fine. Well, they've already mentioned it before. I apologize, guys. But
Please, I mentioned
it's
Scream
directed
every
by
day.
Christopher
I'm
Smith.
just watching you.
It's written by Christopher Smith and oh wait, James Moran. I feel like I've seen a movie by him. Nope, never mind. I thought the name sounded very familiar, but also okay.
I did
so
that
it's-
Cockneys versus Zombies.
You wouldn't have
Oh,
seen
that's
that.
a good one. But it also stars somebody who I wish
You'd
I
be
would see more in
surprised.
films. Laura Harris, who was also in Faculty.
Yes.
Love her. And also stars Toby Stevens, who I did like him. He was
Yes.
in Black Sails.
And Andy Nyman from Dead Set.
Andy was in Die Another Day.
But yeah, no, I really enjoy it because again, it's that great. I love when there's that one guy who's like, sure, yeah, people are getting killed, and people are legit getting killed, and so they're doing dumb things, and they think they're at this. Oh, this is our cabin. This is great. No, meanwhile, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun, and yeah, it's so bloody. And there are rocket launchers, and that scene cracks my shit up too.
Gonna love a rocket launcher.
Mm-hmm.
They just remind me of
You don't-
Ada Wong.
Oh, well,
'Cause she's always dropping
That's-
rocket launches.
that's actually there. It's not just Ada Wong. I mean, you've played all the games, right? It's almost every character is like,
Yeah.
here,
but-
take this. Oh.
What scared you then, Liam?
My headphones just went absolutely mental, and I
They
don't know
did.
why.
Oh, damn.
I
I
was
thought,
just getting
I thought you were scared.
no.
Okay.
When Yutaka made that loud noise, my headphones like went all weird, and it just went really, really loud.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Nobody wants to hear me that loud.
Yeah, I thought his mic had broke for a second there, but then you spoke, and it was still doing it, and I was like,
It was both of us. If
But
you want to
then it
hear Yutaka running around being loud, you need to check out the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Main menu massacre.
The main menu massacre. Yutaka going, I went to Yutaka's the kill, and he's like, get back here. Get back here.
I'm
You-
horrible at that game, but I had a
It's
blast.
so fun, so fun. Okay, Severance. Well, thank you very much. That's nice for you to give us a little British moment. Well, I'm going to carry on the Britishness for our second picks. And from 2 horror comedies to 1 gut-wrenching, depressing movie. We've mentioned it before, but it has to be said because it's iconic, and it's Eden Lake, because that movie just like can't watch it again really for a long time because it's just so gritty and real. And again, maybe because I'm British, it touches close to home, because like some people, I feel like some people in like in different countries might be like, oh, like whatever, these kids, they're like, but here I'm like, if I saw one of those kids, I would be running in the opposite, like
Running.
youths, British youths, and not to be sniffed
I
at.
would be sprinting.
Oof.
I mean,
One of them
I
fuckers-
learned that from
one
Hot
of them fuckers
Fuzz.
would have a
Hot
knife.
Fuzz. What's your date of birth? 12th of February. What year? Every year. Get out. So good. But no, Eden Lake, we've mentioned it, of course, before on the channel, but it is a British staple. Michael Fassbender, stunning. Always forget the other woman's name, but she's going to be in The Haunted in Venice. I always thought she was Miss Hooley from
What's
I
what
forget
you
her
call
name.
her
Something
from
Riley. Is it Riley?
Miss-
Something...
No.
Riley
No, her last
Kelly-
name's
Riley
Kelly
Kelly-
Riley.
Keough?
Kelly
Kelly
Riley. I think it is.
Riley.
Oh.
2 great actors. Michael Fassbender's just
Yes,
anyway.
Kelly Riley.
But just a great way again of, and I think a lot of these, especially like road trip films, have a very similar, tends to have a very similar storyline to them. But I just felt this one, because it was kind of a bit more gritty and felt a bit more real, because unlike stuff like, I don't want to mention some of them in case we do talk about them, but some of them having characters that are a bit over exaggerated versions of a stereotype. These are like just feel very real to me. So it definitely was like, oh, and when she gets in she goes into the poo bin or whatever it was, she gets like, and she's like covered in like shit. It's gross, but fantastic. She went through the ringer in that movie. So did I. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's on, I think it's on Prime as well. So Eden Lake, no thanks. Moving on. Okay.
No.
Liam, what have you
George
got?
Porgy.
Take us home. Country Road.
So don't know whether Yutaka is going to bring it up as his last one, so I'll just go to The Hills Have Eyes remake because I haven't seen the first one.
It's good,
The
but
original,
I will
sorry.
also say it's Alexandra Aja did the remake, right?
Yes.
I
think
love the
so. Or
remake,
did you do the
so-
sequel? I can't remember.
I
You do
mean,
both.
feel free to talk about the remake's great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the remake is it was Alexandra Aja. Yes. So as we found out in the Wes Craven one, obviously I haven't seen the original. I just never thought about looking for it because I enjoyed the remake. So I was like, oh.
it's good to watch the original to see where they take some of the stuff from, because I will say the remake added different things to it, which I think it did really well, but it's still nice to see kind of where it got the inspiration from, or like obviously it, again, remake, but it still forged its own path, if that makes sense.
Like Last
Yeah.
House on the Left, very like.
Yes, like that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Liam.
Good times.
Continue.
No, you're fine. So yes, I really enjoyed this. I remember it was one of like the first ones when I was like starting to like properly get myself into horror films, and it was one of the first ones that I watched. I remember just watching it being like, what have I got myself into? Like it's so disgusting. And the special effects on the mutanty people.
Mhm.
I don't know what they actually call them.
They were mutants.
Was so mutants. There we go then. Was so realistic, so disgusting, and so squelchy. And obviously that one scene.
Mm.
Nope. Just awful. It was just so everything about the film just seemed so well done. I did at the time, obviously I didn't even know it was a remake. I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. So it's always just been one of the standouts in the horror genre for me. That is why I decided that I would say Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters. I remember seeing people walk out because they were so grossed out. Because yeah, I think some of the
If I'd have seen it in the
practical
cinema, I would have
effects.
walked out.
I mean, some of the practical effects are gross, and of
Yeah.
course, obviously, trigger warning. Obviously, one of the animals doesn't make it.
Mhm.
But then one of the other animals gets his due. So that made me super happy. But I really enjoyed it because I had the kid. I can't remember his name. He played Pyro in Fox's version of X-Men. His name was Aaron something. He was the lead
Oh
in that.
yes.
And it also had if you guys watched the show Monk, it had the guy who plays the captain, or actually he played in Silence of the Lambs. It puts the lotion on the skin. That was the dad in the Hills Have Eyes remake.
Oh,
That's
Ted
him.
Levine.
Yeah. And of course,
Yeah.
I love Kathleen Quinlan. She was in a couple horror films. She was in a film I was going to mention, but I've taken a different route, so I'll give it a quick shout out. But she was in Breakdown with Kurt Russell, and that's kind of like a road trip crime drama.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. But yeah, I do love the Hills Have Eyes remake.
And it had Vanessa Shaw in.
Oh, that death. Oh,
Mm.
that was a little gut breaking.
Oh no.
Gut wrenching.
Yeah.
It was.
Agreed.
I remember.
Agreed.
A fun fact about my relationship with that film. Because again, it was the remake I watched first because my uncle told me that it was a prequel to The Sound of Music. The Hills Are Alive, and he was like, The Hills Have Eyes is the prequel. So I was like, great. So he's like, here, why don't we watch it? And he left me in his room, and I was like, great. So as a child, I was like, I was
How old
waiting.
were you?
I was probably because it was probably not long after it came out. It was probably like when it came out on DVD or video back. It was probably like 2007. So I was probably like 7 or 8. Or eight or 9.
Funny.
And I was like, when's Julie Andrews getting in? Because
that's a good joke. I'm not like,
yeah,
props.
I mean, I thought
Gotta give your props to that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
As a kid, you would think because it has like 3 words that are the same. You think, oh, you have as a song, and you go, yeah, of course it.
Sure, yeah.
Of course it is. So yeah, and it turned out it wasn't. It scarred me for a bit. But
That
yeah.
is.
Okay.
I
He
love
also
it.
did. I remember when I was young as well. Because my uncle, when I was young, was because he was only when I was born, he was 12, so he's only 12 years older than me. My uncle, because obviously my mum was young and he's younger, so like he was like a just a teenager when I was a kid, and so I remember he did the coffee commercial jump scare video with the car driving down the lane, and then the jump scare at the end. Have you not seen that? And then he did the one where there's like a game and it says you got to watch for the ghost, and you're like, oh, where is it? And like I'm like, is it there? And then the ghost like jumps out. The maze one as well. So he was always scaring me as a kid. But then it worked out because I obviously enjoy horror. So sorry for that little tangent, but it just made me laugh thinking about The Hills Have
That's really
Eyes.
funny.
Okay, Yutaka, how?
It was all worth it.
Yes, Yutaka,
Just
tell
needs
us
to
yours.
quench his Dr. Pepper thirst.
Yes.
Which.
Oh,
look at us.
I've got one more energy drink saved.
Pepper.
All right.
What's the worst that can happen?
Thank you.
I know you guys took road trip horror, and I just kind of took like things that were like a road rage or like road moments.
It's fine.
So I'm gonna go with the film. I don't think I do remember interviewing the writer and director who I adore. But I don't think I've ever really talked about The Long Walk. It's on Shudder, AMC, Plus, and it is a 2019 film directed by Matty Doe and written by Christopher Larson. And it's an old Laotian hermit discovers that the ghost of a road accident victim can transport him back 50 years to the moment of his mother's painful death.
Damn.
So this is heartbreaking, so good. It is a little bit of slasher elements, a little bit of sci-fi too. There, like, if you watch the trailer, there is a scene that I thought was so cool, and it's the moment to where, like, it's the present, and as soon as he takes the step, then he's back. Like, you just see the transition, and I really love it. And it is a ghost story, so I don't know if Liam will like it as much, but that's what really sells it on what makes it so heartbreaking, because you don't find out who the ghost is really towards the end. And then you find out
some ghost stories.
This movie is really about grief, and allowing people to move on. And so it is twisted, and it's so good. It's a 2-hour film. I'm gonna let you guys know you're in for a long one.
David's out.
Yep. But I really do. I really appreciated it, and it almost made me tear up, because there was a couple moments that are very sad, but it's so well done when they're, because again, also the time travel aspects, it has that whole, if you change something in the past, how it affects in the future. And so they have, like, it does really good to where you see these things and it all connects, and it's a really beautiful story that will still fuck you up.
Okay.
So I really do love it.
And it's on Shudder, did you say? Sorry.
I can
Shudder
remember
or AMC Plus. So
I can remember you interviewing. I can remember you talking about interviewing people for it.
I really do appreciate it. It is so and again, I do love a good female horror director. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Icons forever. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I've got a couple here, but I think which one. I mean,
George is taking
Can I
us
say one more thing?
Yeah,
I know. Also, part of the thing that's also great about The Long Walk, which you guys will appreciate. So she made a horror film before, and critics and everyone just trashed it. So she's like, I'm gonna make a film for me. And it just became this like dark critically acclaimed hit. And she's like, I just made this to piss off the film festival. And they ended up loving it. I love it. But anyways, I love a good you moment,
Yeah, I think it's we need that in life sometimes, especially when it comes to movies.
Most definitely.
Okay, so I had two, but I'm gonna go with not the main one, because I just love. I watched this film again recently the week. I was like, oh, it's just so good. And so I'm gonna go with. It's only really slightly to do with. No, it is technically there is an aspect of a road at one point. At one point, it's Night of the Living Dead, George Romero. Because I was torn between that and Diary of the Dead. I mean, that in itself is just like amazing. I talk about the original, obviously. They did one in 95 or 95, I think it was. It wasn't 91. 91, was it? Late night. It was fine.
Had Tony Todd in it.
Yeah, it did. He was fantastic in that. He's amazing, everything. But yeah, the original. There's just something about the original movie that's just so. Even though we've moved so far now from the in the zombie genre of that, but I mean, it changed the idea of what a zombie was for a start, because obviously, previous to that, it was all very much to do with voodoo and things like that, whereas this was like, oh no, this is dead people coming to life, or just some of the most iconic scenes ever. The ending, one of the most I remember, I think I've said it before on the channel, but and I watched it on my YouTube channel a few years ago, and people hadn't seen it, and everyone was just like, that's the ending. And I'm like, yeah, yes, it is. The most really ending ever, but it works, I think, in that aspect, because George Romero was trying to tell a story and he told it, and it was like, I just love him so much. He's iconic.
Oh my god, are you about to cry?
Yeah. But like George Romero. Anyway.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'm so sorry, but I could see. I'm like, what the is happening? Go continue.
No, but I've like George A. Romero.
Feel your feelings, honey.
Before Wes Craven and all that, like George A. Romero was the way I got into a lot of horror was zombie movies. That was what really got me, and so I watched all of his work. I just well, apart from Survivor of the
Is
Dead.
he what got you into horror? I'm being
Yeah.
serious. I'm not
Yeah,
even,
yeah.
like
No,
that's
he was.
I okay. Now I understand where you're coming from. I totally get that then.
Because the first movie I watched of his was the original Dawn of the Dead, and then I went back and watched it, went through.
that's so
But again,
good
another
too.
fantastic movie. But yes, Night of the Living Dead, just such an iconic movie in horror in general. Amazing opening, amazing ending, and who can forget the icon that is Barbara? Because that woman just said, "I'm going to do nothing, and then I'm going to die," and I was like, "Do you know what? Good for you, girl." She took
Sounds like Yutaka.
Listen, Yutaka
You didn't watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm moved. I didn't survive, but I'm moved.
He kept moving, let me tell you. He didn't know where he was going, but he kept
I
going.
did not. I had no sense of direction. It was terrible.
It's great. But Night of the Living Dead for me is just like one of those that's always going to be iconic. And as I say, the remake was fine, but nobody can
the remake too.
Nobody can touch the original. And yeah, I love it. So although it's not really road, I was like, well, technically Barbara and a brother were going technically they were
on the
traveling.
road.
They're on the road.
Traveling somewhere.
So that's why I said it. But yeah,
you
so I
said what you said.
I said it with my chest and I almost cried, so I hope you're happy.
I know, my gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my last one. Does anybody have any quick ones or anything they wanted to, any shout outs they wanted to give, or anything they had they didn't say?
We need to do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
We need to have a follow-up to this, because do you know how many movies there are out there named Road Rage? And I just feel like we need to see some of these because they look awful.
Oh, really?
And I think that would be a funny episode to talk about.
Couple of weeks time, we're just gonna have an episode that's just Road Rage, and it's just we've watched all of the films called Road Rage.
Oh my god, there's like at least 8. We don't need to watch 8, but just by looking, there are at least 4 of them that look thriller, road rage. Oh, it's a good film that we did not talk about. Okay, this will be the last one, but we should watch this because those look really bad just by looking at the cover. Speaking of a little bit about road rage or traveling, it would be 1996 Matthew Bright's thriller Freeway. Have none of you seen this film starring Reese Witherspoon and Kiefer Sutherland?
No.
And it's a twisted take on the Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh, really?
With a yeah. And let me tell you, Reese Witherspoon, with a teenage juvenile delinquent on the run from a social worker traveling to her grandmother's house and being hounded by a charming but sadistic serial killer and the PETA, the word, YouTube doesn't like that.
Never.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Never.
Oh my god,
heard
it's so...
of this film. I've seen a single still from this film.
Really? Oh, it's so good.
I'm looking through like the
images,
the posters, and the images, and the literally never seen anything.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, you should check it out. I mean, this was like Reese Witherspoon, I think, did this, and then she did Fear, and then she would and then Cruel. Like, she was on the cusp of becoming this huge star. Yeah, Freeway is really good. So just throwing it out there.
So obviously you were like, oh, I can't believe nobody said Freeway, a film that no one's heard of.
I know our audience will be like, oh yeah, yeah. No, so don't even say that. It is a very well-known film.
But the one that I was going to talk about, but couldn't rewatch to be able to say what I wanted to say.
Oh yeah, I wanted
The Hitcher.
The original or the remake?
The original. I wasn't going to watch the remake.
Oh.
it's not available. So I remember I'd seen it when I was like really young. I remember being like watching it like
No.
late night on on telly.
God.
But it's not available anywhere in
Oh,
the
yeah,
UK.
no, I see why. I see why. It's on a
Why?
streaming service here I don't think there's an equivalent in the UK. So I mean, yeah,
What?
Cinemax.
What?
I
You
don't
can
know.
buy it on DVD for
Um,
£7 4 pence on
It's a
Amazon.
great film. Oh, I love the
The
Hitcher.
special edition.
C. Thomas Howell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and I'm not gonna lie, Rutger Hauer was kind of like.
He did it for you.
Know.
I remember him
He's
being
a
an
little
absolute
dirty and a little.
fucking psychopath in that movie.
At least you know it's always going to be fun in the bed. He's
Yeah.
he's a terrible guy in the film, but I do love it.
Yeah, I remember him being an absolute psychopath, and just being absolutely terrifying. But I can't like
He
can't
had no real
remember,
motive. He was just
like
crazy.
set pieces or anything like that. So I don't really know.
No,
But
okay. Well, so
I remember
I'll help
enjoying
you a
it
little with it
when I was
because I
a kid.
love it. It's so like this is honestly when if you want to, we should have at least. So let's give it its props because if you want to think like official like road rage or road horror, it is The Hitcher because it is. I remember seeing that for the first time too when I was young, and that scared the hell out of me because back then too. Let's be serious, people, I mean, today people still hitchhike, but back then, no cell phones, none of this stuff. And so they are driving through the desert of all places. So they rarely are around other people on these 2-lane roads, and they pick up this guy who just turns out to be effing crazy. And oh my God. And then obviously they ditch him and they think they got rid of him. And then that scene, this is the craziest scene. Like, when we all say them kids, like I kind of felt bad for these kids in this station wagon, that whole family. That was messed up. Like him and that, like, she's like, oh, he's like, oh, and then he's got the teddy bear and he moves it and you see him, and you're like, oh my God. Like, yes. And the ending is very well known and very disgusting and so good. So
but
yes.
It's something that I might have to buy the DVD because I remember enjoying it when I was younger and being like, this is awful. So watch this space. It is something that might be appearing into my letterbox via a secondhand DVD.
Wow.
It should. It's a great film.
Yeah.
The definitive on that. So good.
What
one,
a way to end it. Thanks, Liam and Yutaka for filling in the gaps for him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Liam, hey, look, Liam and I, we have some good taste.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Mine, not so much. So, anyway, on that note, guys, thank you so
Eden
much.
Lake, a classic.
Yeah, it is. And Night of the Living Dead. Anyway, on that note, guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Do let us know in the comments below if there's any road horror, road rage, road trip, anything to do with roads that you enjoy that we may have missed out.
No.
Okay. Yeah,
that's why when you said that, Liam, in the group chat, you said road, and I go head, and you're like, huh? I was like, never mind. It was a silly joke in my head.
Do let us know in the comments below, or as always. But if you'd like to see more from us, you can head down to the comments below, to the description below for our Patreon, patreon.com/thehorrorhourtv, where you get early access to these episodes. You get access to the After Hours podcast, which is just for patrons, and also access to live streams and our watch-alongs. Now, this episode, I believe,
live streams.
Special. They're just for you. And it's nice and close because only a few of you, so we get to really answer everyone's questions. Also, we have
you read us, and we love
that. And that's what we're here for. We also have our movie watch along, which I think will have just happened because we're a couple of weeks ahead. So if you're really interested and want us to watch movies, you can vote in the movies we get to see. If not, you can always just follow us on our Twitter and Instagram. We are at the Horror Hour TV. And if you haven't already and you've got to the end of here and you haven't, click that subscribe button because it really does help us. Like this video, share it, because the YouTube algorithm can be crazy sometimes and we appreciate it. So have a wonderful rest of your day and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.